You know, I look back at it now and I think all the stuff we didn't have, but at that time we didn't think about that. We just wanted to play basketball. We were all friends. We all did things together outside of basketball. You know, get together and had pickup games, you know, and stuff like that, and just wanted to have a good time.
I wanted to play basketball, but girls didn't play basketball then. Girls took home ec, you know, or did other things like that. And when I grew up with my cousins. They were basically boys. And, you know, I lived like two blocks away from the school that I went to. And so I would always go there and play basketball with them.
You know, back then they just didn't think women could play. So that's why they kept 2 on 1 court, 2 on 1 court, and 2 running back and forth, because they didn't think they were physically able to play basketball. Right. And today, that nobody would ever think that. The other thing that always used to bother me is they would always call it girls basketball instead of women's basketball. And it's like, we've grown up, you know, the sport has grown up, and we're now, you know, we are young women, and well, we're not anymore, but
We're women. I stopped being a girl when I was like 12, but, you know.
You're 20 years old.
I'm a woman now, I'm 20, you know, I'm living on my own, paying my own bills.
Grown up,
We don't need to keep separating it. Like, we're at the point, we've come so far, like, it's just basketball.
Yeah. We practiced in the Hyper building. We eventually got to practice out here in the field house, and eventually got into the assembly hall, which was like a big moment for us.
Working around Bob Knight's schedule, though.
Yes. And the men's program supported us. I do feel like that. In fact, when we went to the national tournament, he was the first one to say we need to have a celebration. We didn't have uniforms. We used our Hyper uniforms. Most of us were Hyper majors of some sort, which included, you know, health, physical education, and recreation. We put numbers on our majors uniforms, and that's what we played with. This was something that I found, actually. This was our warm-up.
Right.
You know, you have the candy stripes, which everybody recognizes as Indiana University.
Right.
As far as like the basic stuff we had for teams, we didn't have trainers.
No, we, to get our training in, we were kind of given some kind of instructions, but there used to be this football stadium used to be over on 10th Street, over by where the library is at.
Right.
And we were running stadium steps. That's what we were doing.
Well, that's
our
our
training, training, and you just run around or, something like that. So you were kind of in charge of your own conditioning back then, you just got in condition. And then if you made the team, then, you had to do the sprints and everything back then. But before that, you were kind of in charge of your own training. I think it took a couple years after it was passed for us to feel any kind of effect from it. Like I said, I know it wasn't until my junior year that we were still getting our own equipment, sometimes buying our own food when we went out of town and stuff like that.
I think that's the biggest lie, that they're saying, oh, these things take time. It can't happen overnight. Yet we see what happened in the NCAA tournament last year and this year. Suddenly in a year, they're able to get us the same thing that the men's do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that that's a lie that they tell us, that, oh, these things take time. Like, just be patient. No.
Yeah. I mean, the good part for us was it gave us the opportunity to play, because if we didn't have Title IX, we wouldn't have ever played basketball.
Right.
It would just never have happened at that time. It would probably have been 10 years later. We've come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go, too.
Basketball in general, not just women's basketball, has made progress. It's kind of been like men's and women's.
When they move, we move here.
Then we kind of.
Then it moves a little higher,
Yeah. But I think it's important, and I think that it's important that we really understand, the rights that we have, and to recognize when we're not getting our rights. So it's important for us, for what happened in the NCAA tournament last year. It's important for us to stand up and talk about it,
Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard because I just love basketball so much, and I love being a student here so much that I don't really pay much attention to it when I should be paying more attention to it. I think sometimes I'm just like, well, I just love being here. I'm just here and I'm happy, and we get all these resources, but then you also have to look at the other side, and it's like, okay, well, there's also a lot of disparities still. So it's like, it's hard because you have to find the balance between, putting your foot down, but also realizing all that we have.
I mean, we have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of, we have scholarships, we have, training tables, we have all of these things. But when college is over, now what? We're getting paid cents compared to the men. I mean, I don't even think that I actually calculated it the other day. I don't think every single woman in the WNBA makes as much as like one Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that we would be where we were today without Title IX.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. Because I think in this country, unfortunately, particularly with women's sports, they need a bump.
No,
and that's where they got the bump from, was Title IX, when Birch Bayh, came in and said, okay, I'm going to propose this legislation. And I don't think we would have even been nearly where we are today without it.
I don't think I looked at it back then as being discriminated against. I just looked at it, as I said before, that was the attitude of the time.
How it was.
That was the attitude of the culture.
I think your question about, if we would still have all these resources if there was no Title IX, that probably not the way that we do now, just because, now that we have to have these resources. I think it would have progressed probably from when you guys were in college, but I don't know if it would be exactly where it is now. But basketball means everything to me, just the relationships, the camaraderie, all of it just means everything to me. And I just feel like being a woman in sports is so special because you're constantly, breaking barriers and taking steps for women, and just being able to be a small part in that is super cool for me. And being able to be someone who little eyes look up to is just, it means everything.
I mean, I just want to be able to go and make it to a Final Four, win a national championship, and not just for us, but for all of you guys that have come before us. And not to take away from anything that we've already accomplished, but I think that we want to get that ring.
Yeah.
We want to get that championship ring, and I think that I want that more than ever, but not just for us, but for all of you guys.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone who's paved the way for us, and that's something that we strive for every day.